embarking on a quarter century of excellence.
Well, hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Ashmit Kumar, and here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. Sensex and Nifty hit record highs as bulls attempt to end 2023 on a high, strong note. Sensex soars past 72,000. Nifty gains over 200 points. Financials and IT stocks lead the rally. India is ready for takeoff, says the CEO of National Stock Exchange, Ashish Chauhan. Adds that foreign investors are returning. Domestic demand also remains strong, with Uttar Pradesh beating Gujarat in terms of registered stock market investors. SBI Chief Dinesh Khara promises to support capex plans of private companies in the new year. JSW Steel CEO says capex is likely to cross 1 lakh crore rupees. NTPC chief says capex will go up by 30 to 40%. An unprecedented shareholder coup at Dish TV leaves the company without a functioning board for a brief while. 4 remaining independent directors get voted out by a majority of institutional and retail investors. Company inducts 2 others to the board. Wipro takes former CFO Jatin Dalal to court. Dalal worked with Wipro for 21 years and joined Cognizant earlier this month. The details of the dispute are unclear, and Dalal is seeking arbitration in a counter move. Israel steps up the offensive in Gaza, striking 200 targets in 24 hours. Israel's army chief says the war will continue for many months. Nearly 21,000 Palestinians have died so far, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. India's relationship with Russia has been strong and steady, says External Affairs Minister Jaishankar on a state visit to Moscow. He also expects India's relationships with Russia to surpass the current record high of $50 billion. At least 42 people were hospitalized after a pneumonia gas leak at a Coromandel International Industrial Unit in Ennore on the outskirts of Chennai. The Coromandel unit has been ordered to shut till further orders. Rahul Gandhi announces a new yatra from Manipur to Mumbai. Plans to cover 6,200 kilometers across 14 states and 85 districts from the 14th of January in a roadshow titled Bharat Nyaya Yatra. Well, let's begin with a quick look at the day's market action. Now, the bulls maintain the winning momentum on the Dalal Street as they hope to close out 2023 on a positive note. Now, Sensex and Nifty hit a record high in trade. The rally was led by financials, especially PSU banks, but it was also a volatile day of trade. Prashant Nair is joining us now with a quick wrap of the day's market action. Prashant.
Well, participation may be thinning out. More people may be away from their desks, but that doesn't mean that the market cannot rally on. That is exactly what today's session has showed us with all 3 indices, the Nifty, the Sensex, the Nifty Bank hitting new highs, new all-time highs, that is. We did that in the first half of the day. There was a bit of a lull for a few hours, and then starting 3 p.m., there was another move which basically added another full 1% on indices like the Nifty and the Nifty Bank. So a super session and really, adding on to what has already been a remarkable move. Mid caps and small caps up on your screen. So it was the advanced decline. If you look at the broader market, it was largely 1:1. And if you look at the top volume-led gainers, the list is made up of names which you don't hear very often. These are newer names, smaller names, but it's essentially rotation out of top performers already finding new ideas. That's essentially what is going on. Top sectoral gainers, public sector banks, autos, metals coming through. Large caps, Nifty. There were metal stocks like Hindalco, JSW Steel, which did well. Cement was a theme, Ultratech, Grasim, and auto stocks, Bajaj and Tata Motors really stood out. In the broader market, names like Bharat Dynamics, defense name, Sona Comstar, Hudco, Honasa, which is Mama Earth, Aarti Pharma were some of the others which did well. Pullbacks in names like Vedanta, Inox India, which is a recent listing. For the last few days, it's been down. KPI Green, JSW Infra, and Subex Limited also gave up a little bit. Nothing to really complain with just 2 days more to go to wrap out this year. And we are already higher than where we were last Wednesday when we had that single day worth of shakeout. Back to you.
Right, Prashant, thanks a lot for that. Meanwhile, a slew of IPOs listed on the Lal Street today. Happy Forgings made a strong debut. The stock listed at an 18% premium to its issue price of 850 rupees per share. The IPO was subscribed over 80 times with heavy bidding from qualified institutional buyers and high net worth individuals. Happy Forgings is the fourth largest manufacturer of high-precision machined components in India. Meanwhile, Credo Brands Marketing made a muted debut on the bourses. The shares opened flat when compared to the IPO price. The issue was subscribed over 50 times with strong demand across the board. Credo Brands is an apparel retailer operating under the Mufti brand. And RBZ Jewelers made a weak debut on both the NSE as well as the BSE with no premium and on no discount. The stock was listed at 100 rupees per share, the same as its issue price, but this was not the case with the company's IPO. The issue was subscribed almost 17 times with a whopping demand from retail investors and qualified institutional buyers. But it seems like stock market investors are playing with caution. Now, India is preparing for a takeoff. That's the word coming in from Ashish Chauhan of the National Stock Exchange. Speaking at the SBI Banking Conclave, Ashish said that Indian stock market has been insulated from happenings across the world and that it has continued to receive foreign participation. Indian investors, he said, are bullish than ever on the equity markets, adding that Uttar Pradesh has overtaken Gujarat in stock market investments.
Our services and remittances have now gone much more than our imports of oil, electronics and gold, which were like three things we could not have stopped. And once you start going up on the export chain, there is nothing stopping you. That's how I see this. Finally, we are reaching a place where we are actually preparing for a takeoff. Now, UP has become larger in terms of number of investors compared to Gujarat. So first is Maharashtra, of course, with 1.5 crore.
So UP has beaten Gujarat in terms of the number of investors.
So UP is now calling shots in many areas, but also in now stock markets. And so you can see the demographics are changing. I was in Uttarakhand a few days back, and I was checking out the number of investors coming from there. And it is the same proportion as the average Indian proportion in the stock market.
Well, more action now from the banking conclave itself. India Inc. is bolstering its plans for capital expansion. Speaking at the SBI conclave, the CEOs of JSW Steel and NTPC promised higher capex in the coming months. SBI Chief Dinesh Khara said that the bank is ready to support the capital needs of the private sector.
Private corporates, they had a lot of cash sitting in the balance sheet. First and foremost, the investment happened by deploying that cash. And now they have come to a stage where they have understood the growth opportunity which is there, and we are very much there to support their such initiatives so that the private capex should now take off. This is what our first priority is.
Our capex has been in the range of around 25,000 crore, it's kind of thing. Going forward, it is going to increase, and it is going to increase at least by 30–40%. By 2030, we will be adding on the renewable side 60 gigawatt. So today we are having 3.5 gigawatt which is commissioned. 7.5 gigawatt is under construction. So it's almost every month something capacity is getting commissioned.
We plan to take our capacities up to about 50 million tons before the end of this decade. We see a strong momentum, maybe not 15%, but a 10% double-digit, 8 to 10% growth is something which is easily possible. And this would call for a capex, additional capex in excess of 100,000 crores.
Meanwhile, Soap Sansangi of HPE India said that PLI schemes for IT and semiconductors will fuel India's economic growth. He added that India's production-linked incentive scheme could disrupt the semiconductor space if everything goes as per plans.
One of the disruption which PLI is going to be bringing is on the semiconductor industry. While we all understand, and semiconductor is the backbone of any technology and IT adoption, starting from your IoT devices to handheld devices or to any largest data center. And that was the one place where probably India has not done well, while On technology adoption, India was always ahead. Software technology development, we were all ahead. But semiconductor is something which we are behind. And if this PLI goes the way government is trying to drive in next couple of years, India is going to be the strongest base for the semiconductor technologies.
Well, you can catch Shireen Bhan in conversation with top bankers and corporate executives at the SBI Conclave at 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC-TV18. Well, SBI has hiked deposit rates on certain fixed deposits by up to 50 basis points. The hike covers several deposit brackets, marking SBI's first significant adjustment in 10 months' time, and joins the likes of Bank of India, Federal Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank, who have raised their interest rates on fixed deposit schemes in December. Now, the series of increase in FD rates across many banks comes after Reserve Bank kept repo rates unchanged for the fifth time at 6.5%. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is set to meet managing directors of public sector banks on December 30th. We learned from sources that cybersecurity, willful defaults and banking frauds are some of the issues on the agenda. Sources have also indicated that the Finance Minister will also review the progress of Bad Bank. This will be the last full review meeting before the 2024 budget presentation. Now, Tanu Chakrabarti has been reappointed as the part-time and now non-executive chairman and independent director of HDFC Bank. This will be his second three-year term with the bank. However, this decision is still awaiting RBI's approval. Meanwhile, in a blow to existing promoters, majority shareholders of Dish TV voted out 4 directors of the company. The company has said that it has appointed 2 new directors with immediate effect. This comes after stock exchanges imposed penalties on Dish TV over composition and lack of quorum for its board meetings in the month of August of this year. Mangalam Malu is joining us for more. Mangalam, give us a sense what exactly happened on the board of Dish TV.
It's an unprecedented move at Dish TV. What exactly happened is that on Friday, the 22nd of December, there was an extraordinary general meeting to consider reappointment of a certain director and appointment of 3 directors as well. But in that, what has happened is shareholders have voted against the reappointment of Shankar Agarwal and the appointment of Rajesh Sahni, Virendra Tagra and Anchal David as well. More than 71% of shareholders have voted against this ruling, and that is an unprecedented move because the company is now left with just 1 board member, and as a result of which what exactly happened was that the company had to go ahead and approve the appointments of other directors on the board as well. Sunil Khanna as an independent director and Ravi Bhushan Puri as an executive director. So now, as these 2 individuals sit on the board of the company along with another director, what's needed now is a shareholders approval for these 2 appointments that the company made. So we'll be awaiting details on another extraordinary general meeting that will take place, and the shareholders nod on the appointments of Sunil as well as Ravi too. And all of this in light of news reports that Subhash Chandra Goenka himself is looking to buy some stake back from JC Flowers, which owns about 24.2% stake in Dish TV that they bought from Yes Bank. So from a stock standpoint, not much has happened because the stock is still been a laggard, almost a penny stock with a 20 rupee move. But from a corporate development standpoint, it is quite unprecedented.
Right, Mangalam, thanks a lot for that. Now, oil prices fell in early trade, trimming strong gains from the previous session. This as major shipping firms began returning to the Red Sea despite continued attacks and escalating tensions in the Middle East. Companies are taking this step following the deployment of a multinational task force to the region. Oil prices saw a sharp surge in the last few sessions due to fears of supply chain disruptions as well as hopes of a US Fed cutting interest rates that could boost growth and oil demand. But the attacks by Houthi rebels are likely to continue, with Israel vowing to escalate its offensive in Gaza after Prime Minister Netanyahu said that the war is far from over. Israel's military chief said that the war will continue for many more months. France has condemned Israel's bombings and has called for immediate truce, leading to a ceasefire. Meanwhile, the United Nations has appointed a Dutch politician to oversee humanitarian aid entering Gaza. The appointment comes following the Security Council's resolution adopted just last week. Further, top Israeli officials Ron Dermer met U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in Washington. White House said that the officials discussed about bringing home remaining hostages, governance and security in Gaza, and transitioning to a different phase of the war to maximize focus on high-value Hamas targets. Coming back home, in a move to help coconut producers, the Union Cabinet has approved an increase in the minimum support price for copra or dry coconut for 2024. MSP for milling copra has been hiked by 300 rupees per 100 kgs and ball copra by 250 rupees per 100 kgs. And the government continues its crackdown on illegal loan and betting apps. The Ministry of Electronics and IT has released an advisory urging intermediaries to actively identify, prohibit and remove such applications. The advisory also warned the online platforms against permitting any advertisements of illegal loan apps that have the potential to scam or mislead users. Well, Wipro has filed a suit against its former chief financial officer, Jatin Dalal, in the Bengaluru Civil Court. This comes after Dalal quit the company after a 20-year stint and joined Cognizant at the start of December. Reema Tendulkar is joining us now with more details. Reema, what does this mean for Dalal?
Thanks so much for that. So first, a quick background. Now, Jatin Dalal used to be the CFO of Wipro. In fact, he's been a Wipro veteran with the company for 21 years and as the CFO since 2015. In the middle of the year, he announced his decision to step down from Wipro. His employment contract terminated in November, and in December, he joined a rival company, Cognizant, as the CFO of the company. Now, on the 28th of November, Wipro filed a case against Jatin Dalal in the Bangalore Civil Court. We don't have a copy of that, the case which has been filed by Wipro. So the contents of that are not clear, and the reason for, filing this legal case against him are also unclear. But it's quite common in the industry, and I'm sure in corporate India, where senior level, management employees join rival companies, competitors. In fact, in the case of IT itself, 2 former Infosys presidents went on to lead Cognizant and Tech Mahindra, and all this has happened only in the last 1 year. But legal suits are fairly rare. We just try to recall some of the recent legal cases which have been filed against employees by companies, and the ones that come to our mind. One of them was Wipro Chief Growth Officer Stephanie Trotman was sued by Accenture for a breach of a non-compete clause. Perhaps she joined Wipro, while there was expected to be some cooling off period. Another one, and a famous one, was Infosys former CFO Rajiv Bansal was promised a severance package, but he wasn't granted it in entirety, and there was a case going on between the two, and finally Rajiv Bansal came out on top. And finally there was also one more where Wipro filed a complaint case against Mohammed Haq, a senior SVP and head of healthcare for America. This was for reportedly carrying confidential information. Again, in this case, we're not really clear the reason why Wipro has done it against Jatin Dalal, but it soured the sentiment. And plus, remember, Wipro right now is battling a spate of senior level exits. The stock today was a bit under pressure. Wipro is not commenting on this story. CNBC-TV18 has reached out to Cognizant, reached out to Jatin Dalal, yet to get a response from them.
Right, Reema, thanks a lot for that. Now, Intel is planning to build a $25 billion plant in southern Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government has agreed to give about $3.2 billion in grants to the U.S. chipmaker to build the factory. The new plant is scheduled to start operations in 2028. Intel said that the factory is key to foster a resilient supply chain amidst changing geopolitics. And SoftBank will receive shares in T-Mobile worth over $7 billion at no additional cost. The Japanese conglomerate has told the U.S. telecom operator to issue nearly 50 million shares in common stock. This comes after conditions set out in the merger agreement between SoftBank Sprint and T-Mobile were met. Shares of SoftBank jumped following the development. And Chinese online gaming stocks regained some lost ground after the country's gaming regulator agreed to modify and improve new draft rules. The proposed rules seeking curb spending and rewards that encourage online gaming. However, gaming stocks like NetEase, Tencent recovered only a fraction of the losses recorded on Friday. And while coming up on India Business Hour, over 50 people were hospitalized after an ammonia gas leak at a Coromandel International Industrial Unit in Ennore on the outskirts of Chennai. And you can also catch all CNBC TV18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram, and JioCinema. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh is in Jammu and Kashmir. The visit comes after 4 soldiers died when militants ambushed their vehicle in Poonch. Meanwhile, the Jammu and Kashmir police has registered a murder case in connection with the death of 3 civilians who were allegedly picked up by the security forces after the ambush. The Defense Minister has said that full faith in the army to wipe out terrorism without directly referring to the civilian killings. Rajnath Singh said that incidents cannot be taken lightly and called on the army to earn the trust and the faith of local citizens. He is scheduled to meet the families of the civilians who died after questioning by the army.
सिक्योरिटी और इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसी दोनों ही महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाते हैं और लगातार उनके द्वारा भी यह प्रयत्न जारी है यह उनकी यह भूमिका और भविष्य में ज्यादा इफेक्टिव हो। जो भी शासन की तरफ से सहयोग की आवश्यकता है अथवा भविष्य में भी जो शासन के सहयोग की आवश्यकता पड़ेगी उसके लिए हम सरकार का खजाना पूरी तरह से खुला हुआ है। मैं यह भी मानता हूं कि इस प्रकार की घटनाओं को टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड नहीं लिया जा सकता है। हमें और सजग रहने की आवश्यकता है।
India's relationship with Russia has been strong and steady. These are the words coming in from External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, who's currently in Moscow on a state visit. Addressing a press briefing with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, Jaishankar said that Russia is a valued and time-tested partner. Lavrov trained his guns on the US, accusing it of trying to stop the flow of history. Jaishankar highlighted that India-Russia trade is at an all-time high and has crossed $50 billion.
Today, what clearly came out was that India-Russia relations remain very steady, remain very strong. They are based on our strategic convergence, on our geopolitical interests, and because they are mutually beneficial. Our trade is at an all-time high. We have crossed $50 billion turnover last year. We expect to exceed that this year.
Now, India and Oman will likely finalize the free trade agreement by January of 2024. The second round of talks on the economic partnership agreement concluded in Muscat earlier this month. Government sources tell us that the two countries have agreed on most chapters of the proposed deal. Oman is the third largest export destination among the Gulf Cooperation Council for Indian goods and services. Now, more than 50 people have been hospitalized due to uneasiness following a gas leak at a fertilizer manufacturing facility in Tamil Nadu's Ennore. The leak was found in the subsea pipe of Coromandel International. The state's Pollution Control Board has now said that the leak has been completely arrested. Jude Sanith is joining us now with more details. Jude, take us through the latest developments and the investigations.
Well, the latest that we are picking up from the ground is that the Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board has in fact confirmed that that ammonia gas leak emerging from Coromandel International's undersea pipeline has been completely arrested, and there is in fact no reason to panic. These at least are the words of the regulator here in Tamil Nadu, that has said that there is of course no reason to be alarmed, at least as far as the present time and place is concerned. Nearly 24 hours after a total of 52 people, or 60 people rather, complained of breathlessness and eye irritation after an undersea pipeline belonging to Coromandel International developed a liquid ammonia leak, after which nearly 52 people were told have been hospitalized either at the government-run Stanley Medical College or across 5 medical camps in and around the neighborhood of Ennore, which, as we're aware, is home to multiple industries, refineries and thermal power plants. The Tamil Nadu government has also put together an expert committee comprising and including members belonging to both the central and state pollution control boards, IIT Madras and the Directorate of International Safety. The committee has been directed to submit a rapid assessment report on the incident within 24 hours and a detailed report in as many as 3 days. The Pollution Control Board has also directed Coromandel International to determine the exact location and the cause and magnitude of the leak itself, and to also resume operations only after the leak has been rectified in its entirety. A little earlier in the day, Coromandel International, in a letter dated 27th December, of course, to the Tamil Nadu government, did state that it was temporarily suspending operations until that leak has been rectified and also recertified by a competent authority. Back to you.
Right, Drew, thanks a lot for that. Now, the Indian Olympic Association constituted a 3-member ad hoc committee to run daily operations of the Wrestling Federation of India. This comes after the Sports Ministry suspended the wrestling body for violating provisions. Meanwhile, Wushu Association of India President Bhupinder Singh Bajwa will be the chairman of the panel. The other 2 members include hockey Olympian M. Somaya and former international shuttler Manjusha Kanwar. Now, wrestler Vinesh Phogat said that she's returning her Khel Ratna and Arjun awards in protest against the election of Brij Bhushan Singh's loyalist as the Wrestling Federation's chief. She also wrote an open letter to the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, over the matter. This comes days after wrestler Bajrang Punia returned his Padma Shri and Sakshi Malik decided to quit wrestling over the issue. Phogat's move comes at a time when the Sports Ministry has suspended the newly appointed Wrestling Federation of India body. In politics now, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi has announced that he will undertake a yatra from Manipur to Mumbai. He's planning to cover more than 6,000 kilometers across 14 states and 85 districts. He will begin his roadshow titled Bharat Nyaya Yatra from the 14th of Jan. And well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you so much for watching. News and updates will continue right here on CNBC-TV18.
CNBC-TV18.